relations with the North, and softening North Korea's perception of the South as adversarial. This was the Sunshine Policy, whose name was inspired by an Aesop fable in which a strong wind, a hard-line policy, was unable to force the coat of a man. But the Sunshine, a conciliatory policy, managed to do so with its embracing warmth. Ironically, the policy only served to entrench Kim Jong-il's slipping control and enabled the party to consolidate and adapt its political and economic powers for a new era. By 1999, there was a dire need to secure the North Korean system domestically, as it was the fifth consecutive year that state rations had not been distributed. With mass starvation and resulting economic hardship, loyalty to the party among the populace was waning at an alarming rate. Leaving aside the core central institutions in Pyongyang, many organizations had become paralyzed in terms of their departmental or regional functions, and there were increasing incidents of their putting their own and their staff's needs for survival before their duty to the party. This was a dangerous situation. Kim Jong-il had painted himself into a corner he could not get out of, and was slowly losing his iron grip over the people. It was then, to the party's profound relief, that South Korea's Sunshine Policy came unwittingly to the rescue. At first, North Korea criticized the policy, saying its real purpose was to collapse the system through soft power tactics. But by mid-1998, Kim Jong-il had ordered the United Front Department to formulate a sunshine exploitation strategy that would allow the party to extract much-needed economic benefits from South Korea while making as few concessions as possible. All available UFD resources were deployed on this mission. In order to lure South Korean companies into investing by means of collaborative ventures, the UFD prepared strategies for reconciliation and negotiation. The visit in June and October of Jung Joo-young, CEO of South Korea's Hyundai conglomerate, was a great coup that helped to legitimize the new status quo of cooperation between the two Koreas. As international and South Korean food aid entered the system, the party was able to resume to a certain extent its provision of rations, allowing it to return to the use of stronger levels of enforcement to secure the obedience it needed from the people. At the time, the highest priority for the party was to acquire the minimum resources it needed to reverse its diminishing control over the nation. But just as its priority today remains the satisfaction of the nation's economic demands at the lowest possible level required for stability of power, and to ensure that access to all opportunities remain routed through party-vetted channels, Kim Jong-il had then to focus on the next most pressing priority after a degree of control had been regained. Unconditional aid and joint economic ventures were to be managed so as to prevent the North from having to reciprocate or accept demands made by the outside world. In the first move of the Sunshine Policy, South Korea's Kim Dae-jung administration suggested that inter-Korean family reunions be allowed to take place, in exchange for fertilizer aid from the South. South Korea's opposition party at the time, the Conservatives, criticized the Sunshine Policy as pouring resources into a bottomless pit. They argued that there should instead be a principle whereby the North would have to make tangible compromises in return, such as a reduction in military spending or the implementation of reforms. "Perhaps they had a point," asked Chorin's uncle. "Maybe," I said wryly. In order to stem the erosion of the party's control that had begun during the years of famine, Kim Jong-il urgently needed to accept South Korean aid and investment. But if the Kim Dae-jung administration bowed to pressure from the opposition party and decided to apply the principle of reciprocity, Kim Jong-il might be forced to refuse the aid and risk even more decentralization of power. Acts of military provocation could prevent such a scenario from being